To this day. To this day.
Rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
What up, it's Bushido Spirit back with another episode review. Euphoria Season 1 Episode 2, Stunting Like My Daddy. Yes, that's the actual title of this episode. But before I get into the episode, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also hit the notification icon to let you know when I drop videos. Let's get the show on the road. Now, obviously, I try to do a character breakdown, explore each character, but let's start off with Rue like always. So Rue this episode still dealing with anxiety issues, also her drug abuse. The show opens up with her and Jules taking drugs. Friendship. Flash forward, she is asked by a teacher to talk about her summer vacation, which she spent the majority of time in rehab. Now, they take the opportunity to show a bunch of flashbacks in this scene, and they also do a good job of showing her anxiety. They show the spotlight on her. But anyway, we dive deeper into her overdose, the aftermath of that, and how it affected her loved ones. She breaks down thinking about it, and Lexi is worried. She comes to comfort her, but Rue pushes her away. Also, they give more explanation as to why her addiction started. Turns out at the age of 13, she was left taking care of her father. Her mother had to work to pay for the medication, so she was left by his bedside, and he had a shit ton of pills. And because he was out of it most of the time, he did not notice that his daughter was getting high on his supply. Also, this episode, they show that she is not going to her NA meetings at all. She made it to like one NA meeting and the rest she did not show up for. So despite her inability to control her addiction, she constantly pushes away support because the only thing in the world that can support her are drugs. And to her, it's not an addiction, it's a way of dealing with life and the anxiety that comes with that. Her story ends this episode the way Summer began. After she lies about going to the NA meetings, she meets up with Fez because she needs to support her habit. She needs more drugs. She's constantly seeking out drugs. They make her feel normal. So she goes to Fez, and Fez is about to meet his dealer. Fez tells her to leave. He has a very important meeting. She stays and gets caught up in a bunch of shit. Fez gets a call from the dealer. The two dealers come up. And right off the bat, this scene is extremely uncomfortable because you can visibly see the uncomfort on all the characters' faces. Lots of tension in this room. The dealer is like this over-exaggerated gangster. He has tattoos all over his face, and he is constantly harassing Rue. Rue obviously doesn't want to be there, and they do a great job of setting this scene up. Right before the two dealers come into the room, they show Fez putting guns in the couch cushion because the deal might go wrong. So this whole time we're thinking, when is he going to pull that gun out? When is there going to be this epic shootout? But the shootout never happens. Instead, we get Rue passed out. So the dealer that was harassing her forced her to take fentanyl. She didn't want to take it at first, but she realized she put Fez in a bad situation. Had she not been there, this would not be happening. So she takes it and she immediately passes out. The drug is way too strong for her. And while she's passed out, the dude tells Fez that he has to pay for that. And he is constantly angling to get more money out of Fez. And he kind of uses Rue to do so as well. Rue's passed out. He starts massaging her thigh and saying that if she can't pay with money, she has to make a pussy deposit. And of course, Fez did not like that, so he offers to pay up. Either way, the episodes end with Rue getting rushed to the hospital in the arms. Now let's go ahead and get to the juicy story. Nate. Episode opens up with some needed backstory on this character. They go to great lengths to explain his anger issues and homophobia. Nate's father films himself having sex with men and transgender women. Nate cracks the cryptic code and unlocks T-Tube. His daddy has a hidden stash. This is the origin of his sexual confusion. So, to lock away that side of himself, he ups the masculinity. He is not comfortable in male locker rooms. Who isn't? Especially after that dick montage. That was unnecessary. I felt like Nate afterwards. Jesus. In this opening scene, they explain his preferences, and I immediately thought gay, but ultimately he found his unicorn, the perfect girl, Maddie. Also, in that montage, they kind of describe the way Jules looked. So we'll get to that later. Anyway, Maddie toyed with his delusions. he became super overprotective of her to the point of concocting revenge fantasies in his head. So he is literally an incel with a girlfriend. Then we get right into the story. Nate's still mad about the party. Maddie fucked the guy in the pool. And then the bitch lied about it. Said that wasn't her. She don't know what happened. Despite all the fucking camera phones and niggas screaming World Star. She even tells that same lie to Nate. She says she was blacked out drunk and that the dude took advantage, which is obviously a lie. So Nate loads up his single player campaign on Metal Gear Solid and starts stalking the dude Maddie had sex with, which shows the possessive side of himself he got from Papa. He ends up breaking into the guy's apartment on some Splinter Cell shit, and he just waits for the dude to arrive. The dude gets home and is startled by Nate glaring at him from the corner of the room. Long story short, Nate beats the shit out this guy, and other stuff happened. When he said, "Get on your knees," subversion. That is not what happened, but they damn sure did a great job of making me think that was gonna happen. Like I was waiting in anticipation for him to say, "Suck my dick." Like I was waiting for him to say that, but the words did not come out of his lips. Instead, he takes a shower and puts on clothes in front of the dude. I don't know what the fuck that means. Like you don't beat a nigga to death and then take a shower at that nigga's place and then gets dressed in front of him. I don't know what the fuck they were trying to say with that. That was confusing. Then he goes on a date with Maddie. She refuses at first, but eventually gives in to his determination, if that's what we want to call it. Now let's talk about Kat. Kat, or Thickums McGee, is feeling extremely confident. After being barebacked by a stranger, Love, turns out anonymous, spread her amateur video all over the web. Also, she meets a guy named Ethan. They have great chemistry, but before she can explore other options, she has to clear her name. School started feeling like the Truman Show. That tight skirt became transparent. So she went to the only person that could help her out, the guy watching her get raw dogged by McLovins. And as the person who helped disseminate the smut, he felt obligated to erase it. The two come to an agreement and she ends up going on a shopping spree using that guy's money. Episode ends with Kat finding the video under a new name with more views. BBW gets plowed by Virgin Chad, and she starts to read the comments. And surprise, guys who comment on Pornhub videos don't have any type of preferences. Anyway, she sees the admiration and decides to sign up. It's almost like joining the army, except you don't get shot in the face by bullets, it's semen. So Kat has stumbled into the rabbit hole. She went from being a virgin to being an amateur cam star. And it's entirely because she feels insecure. She's a big girl, she's Thickums. She doesn't receive the same amount of love as her counterparts. So she has to up the ante a bit. The same way that Nate has to up the ante on his masculinity because he's hiding his insecurity about his sexuality. Like we all seen Nate try to go back into that room and watch more T-porn. We seen that shit. And if Maddie wouldn't have called him back, he probably would have fucked that dude. I'm pretty sure of it. It's obvious. Which brings me to Jules. Now, Jules didn't really do much this episode. She just continuously texts this guy on social media named Shy Guy 1118. The two fall in love immediately, which prompts an IRL meetup. Turns out Shy Guy 118 is a possessive douchebag who breaks into people's houses and beats them viciously. He calls himself Kyle, or Nate Jacobs for short. I fucking knew it. Good luck, Jules. You're gonna need it. Last but not least, let's talk about your boy Chris. Chris still feels some type of way about his girlfriend's stat sheet. Everyone he talks to refer to her as the real MVP, if you know what I mean. He ain't the only one putting up numbers. Anyway, his insecurities start to affect their relationship. Cassie sees him visibly upset about his spot on the team, and she tries to comfort him the only way she knows how. You know, the old "does this feel warm" trick. He tells her to stop being so damn sexual. And this kind of makes things a little bit awkward. She's thinking, what does he mean by that? Does he think I'm a whore? And yes, Cassie, I'm pretty sure he does. And it's probably Nate and your mother's fault. But that's beside the point. He should not be this damn insecure. Cassie is a beautiful girl. and she's nice, and you two are obviously into each other. Why do you care so much about the body count? That shit doesn't matter. If she's clean, then fuck it. Why ruin a good thing? So the evening ends pretty awkwardly. Chris ends up going home and they settle their differences through text. The episode ends with Chris asking for nudes, which I bet he wish he stayed. So far, I'm not really digging this storyline. Now let's talk about the episode as a whole. There are things that I like about this TV show, and there are things that I dislike about the TV show. The one thing that I do not like, I don't like all the narration. I feel like they give us way too much. They treat the audience like they're stupid. Like, I would have rather had them show the early parts of the flashback with Nate first finding the porn, and then instead of explaining his preferences through narration, actually explore his character through dialogue between two characters. But I do enjoy Zendaya's narration. It's pretty good. But they need to not rely on that. Some things just don't need to be said. Other than that, I pretty much enjoyed this episode like I enjoyed the last episode. I like the cinematography. I like that they get creative, especially on Zendaya's parts. And the way it's shot gives me these Atlanta vibes. And I'm wondering if it has the same cinematographer. Like, I'm wondering that. And I hope they up the surrealism. I like that in shows. I like that in regular shows to make some parts seem surreal. Anyway, I'm your boy Bushido Spirit. Peace out. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.